Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of God and Coffee on the Penguin Outdoors YouTube channel. Today, we're going to feature my personal favorite Bible verse. Some of you who know me already know what that's going to be. It might be rolling your eyes a little bit right now, but for those of you that don't, stay tuned. It's coming up next.
We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
All right, super excited because this is my favorite verse, and it's a verse you've heard a billion times probably. You've heard it at probably the majority of the weddings that you've been to. You've heard it plenty of times, but I don't know if you've ever really listened to it. So we're going to talk about it. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Like I said, you've heard this verse a bunch of times before. What's important about this verse is, for example, like I'm single, so it doesn't exactly apply to me at this particular moment. But if you're not single, if you're married, dating, whatever it may be, it's complicated. This stuff applies. So love is patient and kind. That basically means don't be an ass and show a little bit of patience, okay? Because a lot of you guys, you don't know how to do that. I don't always know how to do that. Think about how quick, let me back up. Think about how many fights you've had with your significant other where when it's over, it doesn't seem all that important anymore. Well, if you would have shown a little bit of patience instead of jumping right into the fight, you might have figured that out to begin with. It does not insist on its own way. You don't always have to win. I personally like the 1 through 10 method for a fight. So let's say you and your significant other are fighting over something to do with the kids, and you can't come to an agreement. You're just fighting about it nonstop. So each person backs up and decides on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I don't really care about this at all. I don't know why I'm fighting about it. And 10 being, this is the most important fight we have ever had. This is the most important topic. I can't back down. Nothing in my world is more important than this. That's the 1 to 10 scale. Each person picks a number, okay? So let's say for you, it's a 3. And your spouse comes back with, okay, it's a 6. Well, guess what? Your spouse wins. It's obviously more important to them than it is to you, so they win. Now, this only works if you don't have an overly dramatic spouse, or if you aren't the overly dramatic spouse, where every damn thing is a 10, okay? That it won't work that way. But that's one of the things I like. It is not irritable or resentful. When something is resolved, or you say, we're going to use cheating as an example. Now, I've never cheated on somebody, ever. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't stand for it. I just don't get it, okay? Let's say someone cheats, okay? And they talk you talk about it as a couple. If, as the person who was cheated on, you say, I forgive you, well, guess what? You gotta actually do it. You can't be resentful about it. You can't bring it up in future fights. I mean, I don't know how someone gets past that. It's never worked out for me. If I've tried to, that's for sure. I don't appreciate being cheated on because I don't cheat. So, but any fight, you can't be resentful. You can't hold on to it. The second you say, I forgive you, you got to move on. It's that simple. If you can't actually forgive, well, then maybe you need some therapy or the relationship just isn't going to work. I don't know what to tell you, but if you tell somebody you forgive them for something, you got to let it go. It's that simple. Do not rejoice at wrongdoing. If you're right, if there's a fight or something happens, you don't need to say, I told you so. You know what? The point is, the fact of the matter is, if you've told your partner something before and it turns out you were right, they're very much already aware that you're right. They do not want to hear "I told you so." Try to be the bigger person. You don't need to rejoice at failure. It's not even healthy. If you're doing that, you need to look at yourself. Love bears all things. Now, I put an asterisk next to that. While this might be my favorite verse, love does not always bear all things. You can love somebody and still be devastated by something that they've done or something that happens. Cheating's another example. But loss of a child, look at how many relationships cannot survive the loss of a child. I mean, that's a big deal. So I don't know that love bears all things. I mean, who am I to question the Bible and God? Maybe I just haven't found that kind of love yet, but I don't know about that one. Hopes in all things and endures in all things. Yeah, I believe in that. Well, I guess if you believe in endures all things, you kind of have to believe in bears all things. I don't know. Look, I'm not. My faith isn't perfect, that's for sure. I'd like to believe that there's a love out there that unanimously just applies to this whole verse, but if it's out there, I haven't found it. But to be fair, I've dated a bunch of cheaters and liars, so maybe that's why. But we're not getting into Steve's dating life today. We can do a whole series on Steve's dating life, and it would be entertaining, but we're not doing that. So the main point here is dating sucks, okay? So if you're married or in a long-term relationship or you're happy, bear these things in mind and remember that relationships work and really work on them, because it's better to be in a relationship, a healthy relationship, where both parties work on these things than to be single and going through the dating swamp, because it's a swamp. So this is my favorite verse, and I kind of wanted to talk about it and break it down. I didn't really have a plan for today, to be honest. Sunday kind of snuck up on me. I had planned on doing this on Friday or Saturday, but it just didn't work out that way. So it was a nice combination between a lack of motivation and just some other stuff that I was up to. So it's not a phone-in episode, but this was a very fly-by-the-hip episode. I decided about an hour ago that this was the verse I was going with. I didn't make myself any notes or plans. I just kind of jumped in and talked about it. So I think it's really important to just be honest with each other from the get-go. If you tell somebody you're going to forgive them, you need to actually do it. And maybe just do some self-introspection. And you know what? We're going to jump into one other thing. You do not have the right to tell your partner, or anyone for that matter, that the way they feel is wrong or incorrect, or try to justify your own. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You don't have the right to tell somebody that the way they feel is wrong. If your partner tells you, this is how I feel about something, well, guess what? That's how they feel about it. You don't get to say, no, you don't, or this is why, or try to turn the blame around on them. What you need to do is hear what they're saying, take it in, and then think about how you can change or improve or do things differently so that they don't feel that way. There is the way that you see yourself, and there's the way that everybody else sees you, and they are very rarely one and the same. So take it as constructive criticism, not as an attack, because relationships are work. They are a ton of work, okay? And you're not perfect. I'm not either. I'm a pretty great guy. I'm a catch when it all comes down to it. Plain and simple. But I'm not perfect. I have my own flaws. I talk too much. I have a tendency when someone's upset with me my mind first goes to, okay, well, what did they do that made me act that way? And I have to pump the brakes and go back to what I just said. Whereas you do not have the right to tell somebody how they feel. So I'm not saying relationships are easy. I'm saying that this verse gives you a really good baseline when you break it down piece by piece for pumping the brakes and thinking about maybe what you're doing or what the fight is, and just realizing that you're not always right, you're not perfect, and you don't always have to win. So that's my thoughts for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Later. Well, we hoped you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more great videos from the Penguin Outdoors YouTube channel, don't forget to click subscribe. And while you're at it, hit that little bell so you get notified when new content is available. Please leave us a comment down below and let us know what you thought, and don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.